This episode is proudly supported by Pepe Sayer Australian Cultured Butter.
At Pepe Sayer, we focus on quality. So if someone comes into your restaurant and they see you're using Pepe Sayer, they know immediately that that is a quality product you've got in front of you on the table. And that comes from a decade of just doing quality butter day after day.
For more information, go to pepesayer.com.au.
Not trying to box it up in any sort of cuisine. It's more about we just want to cook good, honest food from really great produce. So really trying to connect with some great producers, and that's been what we're sort of focusing it all around.
This is the Deep in the Weeds podcast. I'm Anthony Huckstep. As careers develop, the opportunity to lead a team emerges for most in the industry. Timing that big leap to leader is no easy feat. But what is it like to then up the game and take on a venue with multiple offerings and a large team? Emrys Jones is the executive chef of the Porterhouse Hotel in Sydney. Emrys, how are you?
Hey, Huck, I'm good, thanks.
It's good to get you on the show. You've got a pretty busy role. The Porterhouse has got a lot of offerings. Give us a scale of sort of what's going on.
Yeah, it's definitely a pretty full-on job at the moment, but really exciting. There's 4 levels to the Porterhouse venue itself, plus a 120-room hotel to the side. Inside the 4 venues, so we have Henry's Bread and Wine, which is a small cafe, wine bar sort of feel, where we're just sort of knocking out some really good sandwiches and parfaits and terrines. Then we've got Dixon's restaurant, which is a brasserie-style restaurant, so about 86 seats, where we're just trying to cook some real honest, nice tasting food. And then we've got a couple of conferencing levels, and then Spice Trader on the top floor, which is going to open at the end of the month. So not quite open just yet. And that's a cocktail bar where we're just going to be doing some snacks. You
mentioned the 120 rooms as part of the Porterhouse. So you've got experience, which we can go into, in some pretty amazing restaurants. But what's it been like translating that into sort of room service offering?
Yeah, I think I had a bit of experience at Qualia Resort as well. So that definitely gave me a bit of a understanding of what would go on in terms of a hotel side. But definitely it's bit different. We have to make sure we get it done and make sure that offering is still as good as what you're putting out to the restaurant. It shouldn't take any difference, really.
I want to explore sort of what you're doing with the Porterhouse Hotel, but take us back to when you were young. What sort of role did food play in your family?
So I'd say I'm not from a family of chefs or anything like that, for sure. We're very simple upbringing, small village in Peterborough, where I grew up. But what I would say about my family is they love to host and get in that hospitality of having lots of village friends around all the time and looking after them. That was definitely what my family were about, and I loved that feeling of having everyone together, enjoying themselves and having a good time with plenty of food and drink as well.
Do you have any stories of one of the feasts or memories that you have from that time?
I would say it was mainly like on a New Year's Eve would definitely be a big thing, and you'd have basically there was about 3 restaurants inside the whole village, and everyone would be at one. Toscanini used to be, so the whole village would go there, have this amazing meal all together, just nice Italian, and then head back home. And we'd have family and friends around for till God knows what time.
Well, when did you first start to get interested in food and consider it for a career? Yeah,
so I'd say I was about 15. I was like in my final years in school, and my form tutor, she was our food tech teacher, and sort of really she sort of helped mold me. I wasn't the best student, but she sort of helped me through, and I really started taking a liking to the practical side of that rather than sitting in a classroom all day. So that sort of started it, and then I, like a lot of chefs, got a couple of part-time jobs, one in a fish and chip shop and one in a little French restaurant where I was in there, washing dishes, and then got to turn all the vegetables, and that was the start of it, really.
What was the real sort of integral venues that you worked at in the early years as you started to build your career?
Yeah, so as I said, I got a part-time job. I was at a place called the Cherry House in Warrington, where I lived. So yes, taking a part-time job there, and then went into catering college. And then the moment I left catering college, I was 18 years old and headed down to London, got a job at Gordon Ramsay's at Claridge's when I was 18, and just jumped straight into it, really. It was definitely a tough job, but it was really eye-opening at 18 years old, getting in there, and really helped shape me as, I think, one of the chefs I am now in terms of hard work. I think once you've done that at 18, there's no going back.
There's been a lot of chefs go through various Gordon Ramsay restaurants, including Claridge's. Do you have any stories of what it was like in that kitchen?
Yeah, I mean, it was a really tough kitchen, but really well drilled. We'd do 100 for lunch, 150 for dinner every day, 7-day offering. And working, I mean, my first chef de parties were Matt Abe and Tristan Farmer, Bo Clugston. They're now at the top of the game, so they were to have that experience teaching you on the section. You just saw how they were working, just complete machines, and you wanted to aspire to be that. So I think in terms of work ethic, that really, there was nothing better.
You spent a bit of time in France as well, in Michelin star restaurants. Tell us about that time, and was it quite different to your experiences in the UK?
Yeah, so I worked with Arnaud Lannemont, who's a 3 Michelin star chef now. He was 2 at the time. And then working with, very French kitchen. It was me and one other English guy in that team. And then we actually took that and went on to work on his restaurant in the cruise ship as well. So I think very regimented, very the French, but again, that sort of really helped shape my career in being organised and getting that experience so young.
In the UK, you worked with the Crown at Whitebrook. Was that a different style to what you did experience with Ramsay?
Yeah, definitely. I think James Sommer and his cooking was a lot different, we were a lot more closer to the produce. That was where I really started to see, a bit more of that connection to the farmer, and James would have really good connections to sourcing the produce and getting that. That was where we would sort of get whole animals in and learn to break them down and use all of it, rather than just seeing, Chateaubriands come through the door. And so that was really, great experience with them in terms of really getting close to produce and learning more about where things were coming from and how we could also help that side, because I think it's really important, especially now.
What led to the move to Australia?
I think it was just before Christmas, and I was sort of finished working on the cruise ship, so I was still wanted to go travel though, but I wanted to actually go somewhere this time. And I was just searching through on it was on the caterer website. It's like Seek for hospitality in the UK, and there was a ad, and it said come work on a tropical island, and it sounded fantastic. And yeah, so I applied. Next minute, I had a phone call from Ali Waddell. I think you were speaking to him not long ago, and he called me up, said come out. So I did. So I flew into Sydney. I was in Sydney for an hour, and then straight up to the Whitsundays, and 5 years later I was still there.
Given the access to produce that you had in the UK and in France as well, was Australia a bit different, and were you surprised about what you experienced here?
Yeah, definitely. I think I've always had a real thing for wanting to cook really nice seafood, and going up to Hamilton Island, like the seafood up there was just stuff that I'd never seen before. We have great salmon and turbot and halibut back home, but seeing all these coral trouts come in, and red emperors and all of this, and the marins and things, and that real side of it I thought was amazing. Like we would, the fisherman is just across the way on the other side in Airlie Beach, and being able to get access to like seafood like that was incredible.
You scored a gig as head chef at Number 5 restaurant in Alexandria. How did that job come about, and what was the role like for you?
Yeah, so it came about so like I say, I was at 5 years at Qualia and sort of worked under 3 exec chefs, and I was Sue at the time, and my hat was in the ring there for that role at the time. But I had a good, honest conversation with the general manager at the time, Kyle, and said, we're going to go with someone a bit more experienced. And I said, I completely get that, but for me, I need to try and go out and get that experience now. So I thought Number 5, was a really cool space. It was a converted warehouse, and like with the Alexandria area really starting to pick up. So it was a good opportunity to go there and try and find my own style, try and find my own sort of feel for cooking. And it was a really great experience. We loved it. We did really well. We were, from when we opened to when we left, I think we'd really made a bit of a mark in the local community. Had some great regulars coming in, and then unfortunately COVID just made it a little bit difficult to sustain for us in the end. So it was better for myself to take a bit of time off, and for the owners to sort of shut down for a little bit and then reopen. So.
You mentioned that it was a chance for you to sort of broaden your knowledge and experience and work on your sort of voice on the plate. Tell us a bit about what you were doing there and how that changed in the time as head chef.
Yeah, so I think what I found is I really like that Asian influence that as Australia has. My training all the way through my career before coming to Australia was all classic French cooking. Something which I still enjoy doing, but being open to them flavours of Sydney and Australia, and that influence that comes from Asia, and having such a great cultural mix, especially in Sydney, I really found that I enjoyed doing that. And my partner's from Japan, and going to Japan as well, and dining across there is like some of the most amazing meals that I've had in just a little tiny izakaya that no one's heard of. And we really wanted to sort of cook that sort of just fun, having food cooked over the coals, and all them sort of soys and misos and seaweeds flavors, which I love.
You mentioned that you wanted to broaden your horizons with seafood, and Australia offered that opportunity, and you scored a job with perhaps the most looked upon person on the globe at the moment in regards to seafood, Josh Niland, with the fish butchery. How did that come about, and what was it like in that gig?
Yeah, I mean, so lucky to have got that opportunity. Like I said, so COVID had just sort of hit the second lockdown, and took a bit of time out and was like, okay, what am I going to do? And I've been to visit St. Peter maybe 3 years prior, just for dinner. Met Josh, and just straight away, it's like, man, I want to work for this guy. How do we work for this guy? He took me down. Fish butchery wasn't quite open yet, but we were just a couple of customers, me and my girlfriend, and he was telling us about it, and he's like, come with me. Took us up the road. He's like showing us in the window. He's like, this is going to be fish butchery. We're going to break down the whole fish. And I was like, wow, that sounds incredible. So yeah, always wanted to try to get to know the guy and work for him. And that opportunity came about. So just to go in and learn from them. And what I would say is, not only did I learn so much about the fish and how to do it, I think, the people around there, like Josh himself, Beck, Mans at St. Peter at the time, Ben, they're just great people that you want to work for. You want to work hard all the time. You want to do the best you can. You don't want to let them down. And I think learning that was a real experience in that's the kind of leader I want to become as well. So going into this role now, that's definitely something that I hope, if I can imprint a little bit of that onto some of my staff, then I'm winning.
We've had Josh on the show a couple of times. Take us into the fish butchery. You were head chef there in Waterloo. Were there any species or techniques or things that really changed your thinking on seafood that you can share with us?
I think, I wasn't like when we were at Hampton Island. We were just like cooking the fillet all the time, and you might make a stock from the bones and stuff. But being able to see that, like, there is, you can take the liver out. Why can't you saute the liver just like a chicken liver? Why can't you make a parfait from it? Why can't you, even, and the Murray cod stomachs, I think, was one that really, even at the time, I was still like, not sure about this one, hey. But, it was salted them down and then confit them, and then they're like cut up for a dish in St. Peter, and just so good. It's like this nice tender, like tripe, so good. Yeah, that's definitely, so trying to utilize and use all of the fish, definitely is something that I took away from that, and that's what we try to do at the moment now. So when we make our terrines and parfaits down in Emrys, it's not just a pork terrine or that. It's, if we've got the fish that we're using in Dixon's and we've got that produce to use, then we'll use it and we'll put it on the plate downstairs.
Tell us a little bit about the Porterhouse Hotel. You've got a couple of different restaurant offerings. How do they differ from each other? Yeah, so
downstairs is really more relaxed, casual vibe. Nice, like, after work drink spot. Come get some really great sandwiches, I think, that we're doing, and just sort of daytime eating, all day dining, if you like. Just real casual. And then Dixon's restaurant is, sort of brasserie feel, but not trying to box it up in any sort of cuisine. It's more about, we just want to cook good, honest food from really great produce. So really trying to connect with some great producers and suppliers, and that's been what we're sort of focusing it all around.
Are there any producers that you can tell us about that you've made connections with that one might expect to see on the menus there?
Yeah, so I mean, Elle and Dylan, obviously, at Newcastle Greens, they're just fantastic growers, and their produce is just amazing. So we love trying to each week get what we can from them and treat it with respect and that. So even using some of the baby radishes and that as crudités, I just think why play around with it? Just great, great vegetables, and we're just doing it really well. And then we're also connected with Feather and Bone, and although it means we don't always have the same cut available every week, but because everything's, they don't want to over source and that, which we really feel strongly about, trying to be sustainable. So we'd rather take the time and get the quality product instead of something that's just been herded all together, and we think we get a better result from that.
When you're running the kitchen of one venue, you can really have a singular focus on what you want to do, but you've got multiple offerings going on. How do you manage your team and the different experiences? Yeah,
so I think building the team was really important from the start, and we're getting there. we're not the finished article by a long shot, but we're got a great group of young guys in the kitchen and girls, and sort of found where they fit in inside the roles, and so separating. We've got a team that look after Henrys and all the conferencing and making all those sandwiches and stuff, and then we've got a small team that does Dixon's dinner, a small breakfast team, and I mean, they're the real heroes. They're up at 4:30 in the morning. I couldn't do what they do, so to them, making sure that breakfast offering as well is just as good as what the dinner offering is. So yeah, Dixon's also doing breakfast for 120 rooms. Also, external people are welcome. So it's a pretty big breakfast there.
You mentioned that you came to Australia because you wanted to travel, and the foundations of your career started in the UK. And why did you stay here? What is it about Australia and the industry that keeps you here?
Yeah, just I was always fascinated with Australia when I was younger. I remember one of my first cookbooks being Peer. I remember watching the Australian cricket team win everything, and just had a fascination for wanting to come to Australia. Something about being on the other side of the world always spoke to me. And when I got the opportunity to come and then being here, I just think I fit in. I enjoy it here. I've made my best friends here, and I think the people just suits my life. So ended up saying, why go anywhere else?
You're still in the process of building the offering at the Porterhouse Hotel. We're moving into summer and spring, and lots of people going out. What should we expect, and what are you looking forward to over the next sort of 6 months?
Yeah, I think we just want to get our team together, get cooking really good food, and try and find our feet in Sydney. And really, we want to be a restaurant that is, we want Sydney siders to come out and dine at the Porterhouse. We don't want it to just be vacations coming there. We want to be known as a venue to come and dine, not just a hotel. So yeah, we're just I think it's a really exciting time to be opening, and hopefully we have a really good Christmas and a really good summer, and just some really get the best produce. We can't wait for some of the summer produce to come out in spring. So we've just got these beautiful Lambourne speckled peas off Newcastle Greens at the moment that we're doing with some burrata from Vanilla, and just dressing that with a little mandarin vinegar. So simple but delicious, and that's what you can expect from us.
Well, you're doing some exciting things there at the moment. What do you love about what you do?
Yeah, I love pleasing people. I think nothing better than someone coming in, and I try to get out in the restaurant as much as I can and serve some of the customers and go say hello, and hopefully they're enjoying the meal and seeing people really having a great time. That's what I love about it. Just pleasing groups of people. Hopefully all my friends and family can come, and everyone else, and hopefully I'll make more friends, who come through the door.
Well, Emrys, we look forward to seeing what you do there at the Porterhouse. We've loved having you on Deep in the Weeds to hear your story. Please keep in touch and we'll catch up again soon.
Thanks, Huck. Cheers. All the best.
This is the Deep in the Weeds podcast. I'm Anthony Huckstep. Stay tuned as we take a deep dive into the lives of the incredible people who ply their trade in the food and hospitality sector. Special thanks to executive producer Rob Locke for making this all happen. Follow us on Instagram at Deep in the Weeds Podcast, or email us at podcast@deepintheweeds.com.au. Stay safe and be well.